Hello and welcome to my video. This is going to be probably one of my favorites. This is why I like Gundam. Uh, so the main thing that drew me into Gundam was the original story kind of grabbed my attention. In my opinion, it felt like the story wasn't just about cool giant robots fighting each other or these character love arcs or things like that. It was more so to the dark nature of war. Um, and that was displayed through the various characters and the various growth arcs that came with that, right? If I lost a friend or a brother in war, I would probably expect people to see me in a different light or to treat me differently or for me to interact differently with other people. That's just how I function. And it's not always this good feeling of, yay, we won, right? There's repercussions, there's different mentalities that everybody has. It's a giant mental variety. Um, with that being said, I don't think it's wrong to change the stories or to expand. Um, but I think it's changed quite a bit since then. Am I bothered by that? Not really. You have to grow with your audiences. You have to change things to kind of keep that franchise going, and I think that's fair. Um, I think the most recent one that I've watched was Build Divers, Build something. It's been a good minute, um, and that really didn't feel like we were getting war itself, but just a fighting mentality of different people, and I think it still showed the competitiveness and the urge to be better than anyone else. But in this case, I don't think you see the horrors and the dark part of that kind of thing, right? And I think that's a fair way to kind of assess it. Um, that being said, it's not just the story that drew me in. I am going to go on a bit of a ramble here about some of the series that kind of solidified my love. Um, so when I was younger, it was Gundam Wing that I watched. The various designs and their different utilities for each one. You had your Gundam Wing, which was the flyer that could transform, had its two giant cannons and a beam saber, like classical, all around utilitarian style, but not extremely perfect in any which given way by itself. Then you had Gundam Death Scythe, who was more of a stealth. You had Gundam Heavy Arms, which was a lot of guns, as in like guns on guns on guns. Um, there's what was it? I think it was Sandrock who had the two scimitars and a shield, and it was meant more for like a dealing with or having like a defensive kind of setup. Um, and then there was Ultron, Ultron, not Ultron, where it was a more mid range to close range, if need be, kind of design. And then eventually an evil version of the Gundam Wing came out, which was the Gundam Epion. There's more depth to it, but I'm keeping it simple because, again, I need to go back to rewatch and relearn all of this, but two, I don't want to automatically throw someone into the depth of these different stories or designs or lore. But Epion was the flyer. It had its own unique design to it. It was a cool, fun design, and I am looking forward to the day that I have that model kit back in my hands so I can build it. But with that being said, that was my opener into Gundam, and then after a long hiatus and dealing with life situations, so on and so forth, um, Gundam 00 was what brought me back into Gundam. Um, Again, the designs will always have a dear place in my heart. Um, there's some good backstory to 00 that kind of kept me entangled, and then the changes throughout the seasons and the adaptations, the side stories, everything else that kind of came along with it definitely made it more fun. And I think that's fair to say with most of the series from Gundam. Again, there's some that I only watched like one or two episodes of because it just wasn't for me. I still like the designs. Iron Blooded Orphans was a brutal take on Gundam, and I absolutely adore it. The high grade model kits have um, something to be left to be desired because their posability is mainly focused on like polycap joints. So really soft rubber, plastic, or plastic, soft rubberish kind of feeling material. And if you cut it wrong, if it's not molded properly, if the piece it's going into isn't molded properly, it can be either too loose or too tight, and then cause a whole lot of other chaotic issues, and it makes for a floppy mess. Well, in Iron Blooded Orphans, most of the model kits are known to be good for like a day or two or a week or two, only to become floppy messes later on. Um, I got a pen that's meant to help thicken and tighten polycap joint connections, so I'm looking forward to seeing if that actually does any good. Um, but that's uh, that's kind of a bit about it. There's more series to it. There's Gundam Seed. There's Lord the Witch from Mercury, which had some designs that I absolutely adored. Um, I don't know what the current one is. I think it's GQUUX or something like that. The name's weird, and I should have just looked up the pronunciation when I had the chance to rather than starting this recording. But anyway, um, they each have their own uniqueness to them without it feeling like just a generic copy and paste. Whether it's the designs, the characters, the backstories, how everything functions, there's always something at least a little bit different, but still connecting what's going on. And I love it. Um, the other reason I love Gundam is they, I won't say they were the progenitors to model kits, but they were what got me into model kits. So there's some different scales for Gundam. There's the 1 to 144, the 1 to 100, the 1 to 60, and then I think they had the larger ships at a 1 to 550 scale for some, just because trying to put those into a 1 to 144 scale or anything of that size would be uh, not only expensive but nightmare inducing as far as space goes. Um, then there's your various grades. So you have your entry grade, your high grade, your master grade, your pro grade, your real grade. I think there's a first grade. There's no grade. Um, with that, there's also been a lot of crossovers from the Gundam franchise into different things. Um, and I think that's, again, it's a good way of keeping a franchise alive, but I also think it makes it more fun when you can go, well, I see this, but what if this, right? Um, And to touch back on it, I love variety. If you've been paying attention to the videos that I put out, you know that it's not just one type of thing that I like. Um, in the future, I'll cover more video game based stuff too, but for now, I'm keeping it simple with more tangible stuff. Um, kind of because I want to stream what games I play, but also kind of because I think I want to challenge myself to showcase the depth that some of these games have. Uh, yeah. With that being said, um, this has been quite a madman ramble of why I like Gundam. If you like the video, if you like my rambling, if there's any topics or things you want me to discuss, please feel free to leave me any sort of feedback, like the video, subscribe. As I grow, I would like to invite more people to give me ideas or feedback, things that they don't think are covered often enough. Um, I want to share my love of all things giant robot down the line, and that means doing a little bit of deep diving, and I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate any feedback, and thank you. Bye.